What can we say?
Ladies and gentlemen, kindly find your seats. The program is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, please find your seats. The program is about to begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please take your seats so we can begin the program? evening. I'm Lori Stokes, co-anchor now at Good Day New York, Fox 5. And it is my pleasure to welcome you to Self-Help's 2018 Gala. I first learned about Self-Help when I had the privilege of serving as Mistress of Ceremonies at last year's Gala, and I also was so impressed with what I learned. In fact, after the Gala, I attended a Self-Help coffee house gathering for Holocaust survivors with my dear friend, Deborah Cheriton, where I had an unforgettable experience. I went from table to table, connecting with survivors. I even danced with some of them. And let me tell you, they know how to move. And I will certainly never forget that meaningful day. And for those of you who are new to Self-Help, we are delighted that you're here. We hope that you're going to be inspired by the evening's program. And for those of you Self-Help veterans, you may also come away with some new insights. We're here tonight to celebrate Self-Help's outstanding work and pay tribute to 3 exceptional honorees, Jane and Mark Wilf and the Wilf Family, Self-Help's Chinese Advisory Council, and Ernest Bial. We also want to extend a huge thank you to the Gala Committee for the efforts that they put forth to ensure tonight's success. In particular, we'd like to thank our Gala co-chairs, Stacy and John Barber, Deborah Lee Cheriton and Stephen Holm, Carol and Jerry Levin, Brian Steenwertzel and Basilia Yao for their energy and extraordinary dedication. So 82 years ago, and Self-Help's founders came together to provide vital aid for victims fleeing Nazi persecution. Today, Self-Help continues its sacred work as the oldest and largest organization in North America serving Holocaust survivors. While at the same time remaining true to its historic pledge, today Self-Help serves over 20,000 New Yorkers. It's worth applauding. And is recognized as a leader in affordable housing for older adults, in home care, and in developing life-changing technologies that have transformed the lives of isolated adults throughout the country. We're now going to take 5 minutes to watch a compelling video, which will make it very clear why so many of us feel so deeply committed to self-help. Take a look.
There are nearly 100,000 survivors in the United States, and they're especially vulnerable given their own personal histories of what they went through. We have to make sure they get the home care or the needs or the meals or the companionship or the resources so this population doesn't suffer and lives out the remainder of their years in the dignity that they so deserve. And Self-Help does such an amazing job doing this.
My name is Emilia Kitterer. I am a Holocaust survivor. Self-Help, they're an organization that help people like me. From the first moment you see friendly people who are very empathetic, very responsible, compassionate, and qualified, and always give you good advice in all your problems. My social worker, she is very responsible. She is very attentive. When she speaks with you, your lips always are smile. With self-help, I am not alone.
My name is Pesia, and I'm a Holocaust survivor. Without self-help, life would be for me very hard. I'm getting older. I live by myself. Olga is my aide from self-help. She's exceptional. She cares for me very much. I can feel it, you know.
I clean her house. I do grocery shopping. I do her laundry. I take her to the doctors. We laugh, we talk, we eat together.
You do good. You do well.
You do good too.
My name is Sue Lambert Fredericks. I am the daughter of Holocaust survivors. Self-help provides a safe place for my mom and a place that she can experience things that otherwise she wouldn't. She was invited to be part of a discussion group. She's gone to many of the Hanukkah parties, the Purim parties, the coffee houses. It makes her feel proud of herself. It makes her feel independent, and it gives her a social environment to feel like she belongs. If we didn't have self-help in our lives, Mom would be very isolated. She wouldn't have a routine as she does now. She would not be able to take care of herself. My mom's social worker and home care worker, they're so on top of what's happening in my family. It's remarkable to me.
Self-help can make a big difference. Self-help does not stand still. We're constantly improving and changing the way we carry out our mission. Self-help is still growing and has stayed modern, beginning with being the last surviving relative of Holocaust survivors. We have expanded to taking care of seniors in general. We now have a program where we're specializing in taking care of immigrants from China, and we have a whole Chinese advisory council that's helping us.
There's a huge population of Chinese elderly group, and they need that kind of service like self-help been providing. And this is like a model we can bring into the Chinese community. We have a Chinese word, 老吾老以及人之老. It's just like how we can take good care of the old people. In our Chinese culture, family is the most important. Our elders, they feel that self-help is the second family for them.
My name is Alice Choi. I'm a member of Self-Help Austin Street Senior Center. I joined the computer class. I also try arts and crafts, morning exercise, and finally, I'm quite an active member now in drama club. I think making friends at this stage is very important. We feel comfortable and happy, and that helps us to live a better life.
Je m'appelle Lumoku Raymond. Ma femme s'appelle Sarah Djeye Woku. Nous sommes la République démocratique du Congo. Nous sommes tombés entre les mains d'une personne extraordinaire. Dans d'autres services sociaux, Eli, c'est un monsieur qui nous serve comme ses propres parents. Il nous donne de la nourriture, il nous assiste aux soins de santé, il cherche des docteurs pour nous, des problèmes de loyer, de logement. Nous sommes logés pour son assistance. Lorsque nous avons un petit problème, nous lui informons et il se coupe à 4. Merci, Self-Help.
My name is Eleanor Huttner. I'm the chairperson of the Self-Help Newark program at the North Queensview Homes. Self-Help Newark organizes naturally occurring retirement communities. They do health-related services, and they have yoga, they have Tai Chi, they have a walking group, they have a bridge, they have a memory group, they now have a computer class. It's constantly evolving according to what people want, so it keeps you healthy physically and mentally. I've been here for about 60 years, and it's a wonderful place to live.
My name is Tom Hickman, and I had nowhere to go. So I went into the homeless shelter, and that's how I got the application for Van Cortlandt Green, and here I am. My days are pretty well filled. We have the programs, the mingling and bingo and puzzles and books, and I look at it as stimulation, and that helps to get your mind off problems and get moving. Living in Self-Help's building, I feel I'm not alone because if anything goes wrong, the social staff is there on site. We're social animals, and we need one another.
My name is Josephine Doria. I love everything about the Self-Help Virtual Senior Center, and I'm on it every day. I like the exercise programs. I get the music. I like the history class, to have movies. I like that I can get on the internet because I never knew anything about the internet. And I like to look up things, and I'm interested in a lot of things. It's like going out without going out. Without the virtual senior center, my days would be boring. I'd probably be a little depressed. I would be a little bit more anxious. It's given me a lot to look forward to. I love the people that are on it. We get to speak to each other. It has really changed my life in so many ways. I feel more active. I just feel better. I'm very happy.
Self-help is effectively the community reaching out and being their relative, their friend, their caretaker. And we need to make sure that this population gets the dignity that they so deserve. They're great examples, they're great storytellers, they're such a rich part of our history. There's no greater mitzvah than to give back to the community. And Self-Help does such an amazing job doing that.
Good evening. If the lights come on, I would invite everyone who was in that video to please stand. And thank you so much for doing it and participating, and it was terrific. Please stand. I am Raymond V.J. Schrag, and I serve as president of Self-Help's Board of Directors, and have served on the board for almost 25 years. My family's involvement with Self-Help goes way back. My mother, Susie, was a volunteer at Self-Help in 1939, after emigrating with my father from Germany in 1938. She distributed clothing to newly arrived refugees. She has also been a donor and encouraged her son, me, and her grandson, Benjamin, who is also here, to become involved. I only tell you this because it is very clear that volunteering at Self-Help and supporting it is good for your health, your well-being, and most definitely your longevity. My mother today is 107 years old, and will be 108 in November. Being on the board and president has been highly rewarding. In large part, it's because Self-Help's leadership team, both the board and the dedicated executive staff, and also because of those who served before me. Extraordinary individuals like Ernie Bial, who have devoted themselves to Self-Help's mission and guided us to where we are today. Ernie's family was one of the lucky ones, fortunate to escape their native France before the Nazi onslaught. And like many of us who came from refugee families, he became involved with Self-Help to assist those who weren't as fortunate. Ernie joined Self-Help's board in 1978, 40 years ago. He served as president of the board from 1990 to 2000. And what is even more remarkable is that he is just as active today in 2018, and as he was during his tenure as president during his 4 decades of service. An example, 10 years ago, the Self-Help Community Services Foundation was established to raise vital funds for Self-Help's work with the elderly Holocaust survivors. Ernie was asked to chair the foundation's newly established Board of Trustees, and as he had done so many times in the past, he gladly stepped forward to meet the new challenges. Ernie chairs our board's planning committee, which was responsible for Self-Help's strategic planning, and his knowledge of our ongoing programs and services is remarkable, as is his institutional memory in leading us to preserve and expand our historic mission. I can't remember ever seeing Ernie without a smile and a positive word. In his quiet, unassuming manner, he is truly a force always to take on a new project. Ernie? On behalf of the Board of Directors and the SCS Foundation Board, it is my privilege to present you, Ernie, with a Caring for Generations Award. The inscription reads as follows: "He who is charitable and just fills the world with kindness." Ernest L. Bial, Caring for Generations Award. Your compassion and spirit of giving know no bounds. You have touched the lives of those we serve and inspire us with strength, determination, and hope. Self-Help Community Services, May 7th, 2018.
Thank you very much. It's nice to see so many old friends here and people who care about self-help. Then we belong to the same club. I'm here because Self-Help wanted a younger person to be on the board. Now, before you think about that too much, that happened 40 years ago. I'm very proud to be here and to be honored with the Wilf family and the Chinese Advisory Council, and my fellow board member Tai Wang, because we have so much in common, really. We're all either immigrants or sons of immigrants or daughters of immigrants. And what that means is that we have come, and all of us here have been successful, but some people have been left behind, unfortunately, through no fault of their own, people who have suffered greatly in the Holocaust or in other ways, and now they're infirm, they have disabilities. People who could take care of themselves quite well when they were 70 are now 85 and need help. And these are the people that Self-Help serves, that we're proud to serve. These people I'll give you some examples of some of the people that we're talking about. The elderly Holocaust survivor, for example, who when someone in a uniform comes to deliver a package, becomes frightened because she thinks it's the Gestapo coming. Someone who's discharged from the hospital, maybe he's a Chinese American, he gets discharge explanation and he doesn't understand it. And since he doesn't understand it, we have a social worker who will come and explain everything and tell him where he can get his medicines and how he can make himself healthy so he doesn't have to go back into the hospital again. Another person, we got a report a few years ago that there was a woman living all alone in her apartment, and she wasn't doing so well. So the social worker came out and noticed that the apartment was almost completely empty. There was no furniture. The woman was sleeping on the floor. There was no food in the refrigerator. Well, you can be sure that that didn't last. The next day, there was a bed, there was furniture, there was food, and that woman has been under our care. Another example is, as you saw in the video, a homeless person. This is something that we've only started on really about 2 years ago. We built affordable housing for seniors in the city where rents are so high. And about 20% of the people in our newest building are formerly homeless. Now, you have to understand, this is someone who's 75 years old and sleeping in a doorway in the middle of the winter. So you can't let that happen. But on the other hand, the people are not used to living in an apartment. There were people who would never close their door because they were afraid. And they had no furniture. They just had whatever their shopping cart had. Well, thanks to the good work of our social workers, these people have been integrated into the building with all the other affordable people with affordable housing, and it's working out very well. What we have found, what we've learned at Self-Help, that housing by itself is not enough. You need services for people, and this is something we've been doing for years. The rest of the country is beginning to learn about it, and the proof of it is that in our affordable housing, people stay there and live independently for their lives. The percentage of people from our housing who have to go into a nursing home is almost zero. So that's all for what we do. Now, how does Self-Help do it? Well, we have a group of people who are dedicated, who understand how it's to be done. It begins with all of you out here. Without your generous contributions, we couldn't do the wonderful work that we do. Then we have 1,500 home health aides. These are people who are now, while we're sitting here, they're in somebody's home, helping them live, cooking meals for them, going shopping for them, and so forth. Then we have 100 professional social workers. That's a lot of social workers, 100 professional social workers who, in addition to their school training, have training from us. And if they serve Holocaust survivors, they have specialized training to understand the traumas that those people have been through. Then, in addition to that, backing up the so-called front line, we have administrators, trainers, supervisors, coordinators, people with years of experience, so they can handle problems and support our workers. And finally, over the years since I've been with the organization, we've had wonderful CEOs, people who could handle the business side, could handle with compassion the social work side, and they have helped guide the organization. And in addition to that, we've had wonderful boards of directors. I've worked with dozens of board members, and what they all have in common is that they care about our mission. They believe that as you get older, you should be able to live independently, preferably in your own home, and with dignity. And that's what we try to achieve. And the board members, many of whom are sitting out there, give their time and their treasure to Self-Help. And the time is not negligible. Most board members will probably go to 2 or 3 meetings every month, either of a committee of the board or of the board itself. So this whole combination of people are the ones who make it available for our clients, and we're so happy to do it. I'm proud that over the years I've been able to be, say, a cog in the machinery, or maybe part of the lubricating oil that keeps Self-Help going. It's always good if you could be part of something that you really believe in and that you feel is doing a very good job. Lastly, I want to thank my beautiful wife Martha and my family who's sitting over here, because they've always been supporting me, and they always understood that there was no better way for me to spend my time than to do the work of Self-Help. So thank you very much.
Congratulations, Ernie. And Ernie did talk about, his phrase was all of you. That's 500 plus that are in this room supporting self-help. You should give yourselves a round of applause. It is now my pleasure to introduce Stuart Kaplan, who is the CEO of Self-Help, who is going to present the award to the Chinese Advisory Council. Stuart? There you are.
Good evening, all. A pleasure to be here, and I actually loved that first part of the evening where there are so many people who I've seen year after year who come to our events and support us. It is delightful to see the family of Self-Help all together. Lori, thank you so much for gracing our podium again, and your friendship over the year has been tremendous. I'd also just like to take this opportunity, Lori, to thank Lois Deutsch and Sherry Perlman, who's sitting here. Lois is the reason we are all here. I know we say it's about self-help in 80 years and everything. Lois is the one, along with Sherry, who makes it all happen. A couple of special guests that I'd like to acknowledge, and what I would ask, since the lights are on, is when I call your name, because there are several of you, I'd like you just to stand. Please don't applaud after each one. We will have one grand round of applause as we go through. So first, I'd like to acknowledge our dear friend, New York City Council member Peter Koo. Please stand. No applause. Please just remain standing. From the Claims Conference, we have a 60-year partnership with the Claims Conference, and representing the conference, in addition to several people, are Julius Berman, President, Greg Schneider, Executive Vice President, and Karen Heilig, Assistant Executive Vice President. Please stand. No applause. Please stand, though. Please stand. Because you're going to see this room's going to fill up real quick. From UJA Federation, this is a 30-year partnership and growing stronger every day. The president of UJA, Jeff Schoenfeld, and Eric Goldstein, the CEO of UJA. From Jewish Federations of North America, this is the national body that oversees federations across the country. The president, Jerry Silverman, and Senior Vice President, William Daroff. Please stand. This room is pleased. It's going to get up. We are very honored to have with us this evening the German Consul General, David Gill, and his wife, Sheila Shrivastava. Self-Help, you've heard, is in the housing business, affordable housing. We have been doing that for over 50 years at this point. We work with the federal, the state, and the city government to do that. This evening, we are honored to have with us Lynn Patton, the regional administrator from HUD, Ruth Ann Versnauskis, the commissioner and CEO of New York State Homes and Community Renewal, and Eric Enderlin, the president of New York City Housing Development Corporation at the city level. And finally, we have the Self-Help family. So once again, I ask that you stand, and those that sat down, please stand up again. The Self-Help Board of Directors, the Self-Help Foundation Board of Trustees, the Chinese Advisory Council, and the Kimmel Housing Board, which represents our growing footprint and services in Long Island and expanding. Thank you all for your support and unwavering commitment. I was nervous about that as I was thinking about it. I got nervous up here actually saying it, but thank you all. The mission of Self-Help, simply stated, is to help people to live with dignity and independently. You've heard that already in some of the earlier remarks. I tell that to every new employee. I meet with every new employee and say, learn two words, independence and dignity. That's what Self-Help is about, regardless of whichever of the programs you are in. We also say that we serve 20,000 people. That's pretty impressive. It's impressive to me. I think it's impressive to you. But what we know at Self-Help and what we want you to know tonight is that our services are provided one client at a time, times 20,000. And so we went out this year with two different types of projects. One of them was to ask our clients, what does living independently mean to you? And just 2 responses that I'd like to read to you. 1, getting up in the morning in a safe place and being able to do whatever I want to do. I am in charge of my day. Dignity. The second, a client says, do you know how old I am? I am 100 and a half. I live on my own. I have my self-help home health aide come in, and I don't need to bother anybody. Independence from a 100-plus-year-old client. Remarkable. We have over 2,000 employees serving our clients. And so we also went out this year and asked our staff, why do you do what you do? And hopefully there's a word cloud that's showing up here, if technology is working. But we took all of the words, and the larger words are representative of the words that were said repeatedly by staff. But a couple of responses from our staff as to why they do what they do. This from Denise Diaz, a recruiter for our home care workers, those home health aides that are the unsung heroes in the homes of so many seniors, to inspire others into believing there is always opportunity. A second comes from Desiree Nazarian. She is an outreach coordinator, and she and her team are identifying Holocaust survivors never before served by self-help. Desiree's response, for me, this is not only a profession, but a promise kept. The promise is to continue protecting, supporting, and advocating. I walk with others in their journey and help to navigate complex systems. This year, Desiree and her team have identified so far, just in this year, 900 Holocaust survivors who self-help had not previously served. That's her job. And last, from Eileen Garcia, who is a case manager in what we call Project Pilot, which is a case management program that works on the Upper West Side to serve some 2,000 older adults. Eileen's comment is, there is long-lasting reward in being in a position of assistance to motivate others to achieve their full potential. And there is long-lasting reward in being the voice for people. So there you have it, our clients, our staff, our family, all in sync to fulfill Self-Help's mission to provide independence and dignity. I'd like to do a quick shout out to Sandy Myers, who is our Vice President for External Relations and Communications, who put together both of these projects having to do with clients and staff. So now, to our honorees, the Chinese Advisory Council. It's hard to believe that it's only 2 or 2.5 years ago that the Chinese Advisory Council came together. Self-Help serves about 5,000 low-income Chinese seniors with housing, senior centers, and home care. Indeed, it is a great representation of the Jewish value, tikkun olam, in order to be there for the welfare of all people, not just Jewish people, that Self-Help was founded for. And the person who made the shidduch, translation, the person who made the match between Self-Help and the Chinese Advisory Group is Council Member Peter Koo. I introduced Peter before, and shortly I will ask him to come up on stage. But Peter introduced us to Tai Wang, who Ernie referenced before, and Tai became Self-Help's first Chinese-speaking board member and helped to put together the Chinese Advisory Council. Tai is a dynamo. When she is there, things happen. And we quickly began to realize the similarities between Chinese seniors and the population that Self-Help had been serving. Most among that was the fact that in 1941, it was in Shanghai and the Chinese government that took in 27,000 Holocaust survivors when other governments around the world were turning Jews away. But Shanghai took them in. And so we had a project that was called the Shanghai Project, which we held in this past June at UJA Federation. And we brought together Holocaust survivors who lived in Shanghai and Chinese seniors who today Self-Help is serving out in Queens. Brought them together and brought people from China to narrate and put. This was a most emotional evening, but we realized that we have much, much, much in common. A few examples of what the Chinese Advisory Council has been doing for us. One, press conferences. They love press conferences. Do we love press? The Chinese press has been covering Self-Help like never before, and we are very grateful for that media coverage as well as the media who's here today. Fundraisers, two of them, a banquet and a concert, both raising money for the virtual senior center that you saw in the video. And that virtual senior center now has a Mandarin platform, so we are working with Chinese elders virtually with technology. They've raised funds for emergency financial assistance for all of our population. And last example is that they are raising funds to modernize our innovative senior center in Flushing, which serves a large Asian population, and also now exploring new affordable housing at that very location to be built, we hope, after we get through zoning and other land use issues, but that as well. And so, as you can see, the Chinese Advisory Council has become an integral member of the Self-Help family. And it is my pleasure now to invite Councilman Ku, Tai Wang, and all of the Chinese Advisory Council, Angela An, Amy Mack Chan, Teresa Chan, Jerry Lowe, and Chloe Bonus-Sun.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, CEO Stewart and Chairman Raymond. And thank you, Stewart, for that nice introduction for everything you do with Self-Help in Flushing and throughout New York City. Self-Help is a tremendous institution in Flushing, operating more locations in my district than in anywhere else in the city. Senior services are among the most sought-after requests in my office, and I have always been proud to partner with Self-Help in these efforts. Among the more important of these services is the Chinese Advisory Council. The Chinese Advisory Council has become essential to the Chinese seniors in our ever-changing and constantly evolving community. The council is only 3 years old, but it has already proven to be a great benefit to our seniors. We are a global city, so we must provide culturally sensitive programming and services to our elders. It is a simple concept, and Self-Help executes it precisely. Tai Wan has taken the lead on our council. She understands the intimate needs of our community, and she has done an outstanding job on the council. So I am happy to present her with the Lifeline of Hope Award this evening. And before that, I want to present a City Council presentation, recognition to Tai, thanking her for providing exemplary service to the City of New York. Thank you.
Wait. And now, from Self-Help, we are pleased to present to each of the Advisory Council this plaque that reads, "Your compassion and deep commitment have empowered the health, happiness, and dignity of our Chinese elders." Self-Help Community Services, May 7, 2018. Sherry, it's all yours.
Congratulations again. Would you like to say something? Yeah, oh, please. Yeah, yes, absolutely. Stay on the side. This side? Or this side? Yes. Okay. Yeah, they are my backbone. First of all, I want to thank for everybody's coming and thank all my friends. You trust what I'm doing right now. Whatever you hear before, what Ernie say, what Stokes say, they all the truth. Okay. You know, people can stay at home by themselves instead go to nursing home when they're 100 years old. That's like a dream, okay? This is how I believe, how I trust self-help. And I want to introduce all my advisory council members. Whatever we're doing right now, whatever they say, it's all done by everybody together. Let me read what I wrote this morning. At the fall of 2015, I stepped in self-help to introduce myself to Stuart. Make sure I won't disappoint Councilman Peter Ku's expectation. I'm glad I got myself so successfully. To tell you the truth, self-help is an organization that I never heard of it before. This is all based on my trust in Councilman Peter Ku. When he say, "Tai, go to do this," I know that must be something good for a lot of people, so I step in. After the first meeting, I realized there are so many things I have to learn to bring back to our community. And this is a huge responsibility that I can carry by myself. Chinese Advisory Council team was formed at the same year I stepped in with I got stepped as a board member. In the past 2.5 years, our CAC had made some significant progress, as Stuart all say about it. You know, we did the 2016 Gala. This Gala, I need to say something because a lot of people are not there. We raised over $250,000 in that Gala. Not just about money. The party went so high, echoing out the donors raising hands. Everybody wanted to me, 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 okay? And I still remember all the self-help staffs running around back and forth to all the donors to take their name. But still, I don't think they get everybody. They didn't. That was a lot of fun. Because Amy, when she introduced it, I want to see something. Anybody want to raise, support my singing? Everybody say yes, yes, yes. Okay. With the funding, Self-Help Chinese Virtual Senior Center was formed. We helped so many homebound seniors to reaching out the outside world, which you all know, but in Chinese community, there's nothing like that before. We always send them to the senior center to do something. If you can't move, stay home or stay in the nursing home. You can't go anywhere. But with this equipment, they can stay home and communicate with the outside world. It's really touching my heart. I think touching everybody's heart. Where I've been reaching out, they will love that idea. We formed emergency funding for the Chinese seniors. 2017 was a progressive year. We support the Shanghai project. We also suggest upgrade the Flushing Senior Center to make sure, you know what I say, When I went to the senior center, I look at them because so many senior centers in Flushing. If you go to Flushing, you see 10 in 2 streets. Everyone is a senior center. But I want the self-help senior center different than others because they're a mess. Everybody was a mess. But our senior center, not that much difference because too many people pack in that small room and they have mahjong, everything in the front. I told them, I said, please, let's bring up the standard. I want everything have the self-help standard in our senior center. And they did it. I'm so appreciative whatever they've been doing it. This is how I want to bring the good things from you guys, whatever you've been doing, the good experience, bring back to our community to have everybody enjoy the same life. Just a few months into 2018, our member, we're doing something already, which I think Story say something, but I want to emphasize a little bit. On February 26th, Amy had a private concert with the seniors. You know, that senior center, she decorated the whole stage in just professional way. If you see something like this, you see in there. She's doing very professional, and the staff, everybody there, nobody say, they say never had anybody have the performance like this in this auditorium, but we did it. All, Stores was there, everybody was there, they enjoy, they want to see him. They want to see your people here, and they want to see, oh, we're doing something tremendously different than before. On March 25th, I have a chorus, and that chorus was formed start from Peter Koo. Peter said, Tai, let's have a good Chinese chorus team. You go to do it. I said, I don't know how to do that. So I find you a teacher. I found you a conductor. You just get student. So in 2009, we started the chorus. And that chorus, I have to tell you, I'm very proud of it. 2016, we went to Taiwan for competition in Hakkanese. You know, Chinese have a lot of different language, right? Mandarin, Cantonese, Hakkanese. Nobody know how to speak Hakkanese. But we learned, and we went there, we were the champion for that competition. So, that's why when you want to do something, you do something with your fully power, so you got it. So we learned Hakkanese. Nobody knows how to speak Hakkanese. We're Chinese, we don't know anything about it. Like I don't know how to speak Cantonese either. So our chorus had a concert in Queens College. That's it's a very professional concert hall. And we did very good, right? Louder. Okay, thank you. I can say that the name of the self-help, 自强社区中心 in Chinese. Self-help is 自强社区中心. It's spread up widely in Chinese. Our media, whenever we have anything, they came here. They came from Flushing, come here to do the interview. So they want our news. They want to see you guys because they know you can change our life. This is because our wonderful, wonderful advisory council members devote their time, devote their money, bring all their friends, to come with all the help. We appreciate and honored the recognition and the award from Self-Help today. Let's enjoy the evening, and thank you so much for everything.
Congratulations once again. So tonight's festivities would not be complete if we didn't mention a very exciting project Self-Help has undertaken. The production of a witness theater documentary. Very rarely does a documentary film come along that transforms the lives of the audience and the generations to follow. For those of you who have never experienced a witness theater performance, let me explain what it is. This project pairs high school seniors with Holocaust survivors who meet together weekly over an 8-month period. It fosters a therapeutic environment for survivors to process their traumatic experiences as well as meaningful and lasting educational lessons for high school students and larger audiences by exposing them to a wide range of personal stories from the Holocaust. The program culminates in a stage production where the students portray the personal experiences of the survivors. Witness Theater began in Israel, and in 2012, Self-Help brought it to New York thanks to generous funding from the UJA Federation of New York, the Claims Conference, and the Jewish Communal Fund. Now, in its 6th year, it has grown tremendously, reaching students, survivors, and audiences throughout the boroughs and also Long Island. This year, with the addition of live streaming, over 6,000 people experienced Witness Theater, and the program continues to grow. Thanks to a group of generous funders, Self-Help has commissioned award-winning filmmaker Oren Rudovsky to produce a documentary chronicling the stories of survival and the transmission of experiences from one generation to the next. The film will be distributed to film festivals, theater distributors, and television broadcasters. Most notably, a scholastic curriculum is being developed with the documentary to teach the lessons of the Holocaust to younger generations. Now more than ever, we need to educate our youth about tolerance and sensitivity and resilience in the face of trauma and loss. The documentary will be completed this summer, and at this time, let's take a look at a couple of clips.
Aaron remembers his house. He had a giant porch. It was the best in the town. It was the nicest one because it was right near the river.
The creek was beautiful. I threw the rod into the water and just watch the wire when it start to move, to shiver a little bit, and the fish, when they turned, they became like silver. When the fish turned from his belly to the side, you see a lot of silver in the water. And when I pulled out the fish was dangling in the air. That was like an ecstasy to me, a calm ecstasy, until I took the fish and took out the hook from the mouth and threw the fish into the bowl. And when I had maybe 100 fish, my mother used to cook it with potatoes together, so a delicious soup. It was a delight. It was calm. I didn't have no problems. I didn't have a wife then.
Thank you. We say to Aaron, thank you for telling.
Thank you for listening.
Very good.
While I was in camp, he was a very charming boy, and he was my age. We liked each other. We were very, very close. The Germans, at that point, decided to have a total march. That means a march of death. Nobody should be left alive. So that boy was standing near me with his father. I see that my friend's father is very weak. And he said he cannot go further. He cannot go further. So he lay down to be shot. And my friend was next to me, and he started to run after his father. And I hold him back like this. I pulled him to myself. Don't go, don't go. He went. He lay down next to his father. And they shot him too. In my eyes, 15 years old, he didn't want to leave his father. It was too much. Sorry. I'm sorry, Mama. Sorry. So I think you had enough for today. And now you have to be nice to each other.
Would you please join me in recognizing our filmmaker, Oren Rudovsky? Would you please stand? Self-Help will be holding a screening of the documentary, and I certainly look forward to the finished product, taking my two daughters, Alexandra is 26 and Nicolette is 23, so they too stories and learn the lessons that so many of us should. I also encourage you to become a partner in this important project by contributing to the production of the documentary. All donors will be listed in the film's credits, and these are the cards that are on your table if you'd like to make a contribution. It is now my pleasure to introduce Ambassador Stuart Eisenstadt, who will present the Fran Eisenstadt Legacy Award to Jane and Mark Wilf and the Wilf family. We could speak the entire evening about Ambassador Eisenstadt and his achievements, especially his work during the Clinton and Carter years at the White House. Indeed, his work on behalf of Holocaust survivors is extraordinary, and his negotiations with European governments seeking restitution for survivors has been unparalleled. Ambassador Eisenstadt has written and just released a landmark book. It's called President Carter, The White House Years, which is receiving wide acclaim. Ladies and gentlemen, Ambassador Eisenstadt.
My late wife of 45 years, Fran, as a Brandeis graduate, got an early identification with the State of Israel through a junior year abroad program at Hebrew University sponsored by Brandeis. She inculcated that love of Israel to our two boys, Jay and Brian, taking them there frequently. Each studied for lengthy periods of time there. She also was an untiring supporter during the 1970s and 80s of the Soviet Jewish movement and was a genuine partner and advisor to me during the Clinton administration, in which we negotiated over $8 billion of recoveries for Holocaust survivors from the governments of Switzerland, Germany, Austria, France, other Central European countries, art restitution, and recovery of insurance policies. And then, even more recently, beginning with my co-chairmanship of the negotiating team with Roman Kent of the Jewish Claims Conference negotiations with Germany, in which we've been able to obtain over $9 billion in recoveries for survivors worldwide, much of it for home care, and a substantial amount of which goes to self-help. She would be particularly proud to have her name identified with our awardees tonight, Jane and Mark Wilf and the Wilf family, because their name is truly synonymous with assisting Holocaust survivors and preserving their legacy. Among their really innumerable achievements, I'd like to recognize, and especially Mark, for chairing the Jewish Federation of North America's Holocaust Survivor Initiative, which addresses the needs of impoverished survivors throughout the United States. Self-Help has been a recipient of this funding in each of the years of this unprecedented funding. Why do I call it unprecedented? Because it's only in 2012, so many decades after the end of World War II, that for the first time, the U.S. government started providing funding to address the unmet needs of aging American survivors. And Mark has, along with JFNA, really pioneered the leadership of that initiative. Mark and I have met several times before and shared our commitment to Holocaust memory and justice. It is little recognized that there are today 400,000 Holocaust survivors worldwide. 400,000. And in the New York City area alone, over 50,000. But what is even more graphic is that of those 400,000 survivors, more than 80% in the former Soviet Union and in Central and Eastern Europe live in abject poverty. After suffering so greatly in their youth, it is just unacceptable that in their declining years they have to suffer yet again. And in this great city, the financial capital of the world, of the 50,000 Holocaust survivors, half, according to UGA Federation of New York's studies, Eric Goldstein and his colleagues here, half either live in poverty or within 150% of the poverty level. It's just not acceptable. And that is really where self-help comes into play, and where the wonderful work that Mark and his wife and family are beginning to make such a difference. Before continuing with my presentation, I'd like to invite my dear colleague, Jerry Silverman. But before even doing that, I just want to tell you that Holocaust memory and justice is a part of my DNA and has been for decades, since I recommended to President Carter the creation of what is now the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum, and everything that's followed since. And if I ever had any occasion for even a day to forget the importance of Holocaust memory and justice, I couldn't do so because of my dear friend Marian Ein Lewin, who is here and who is the youngest surviving Holocaust twin, having survived Vesterbrook and Bergen-Belsen. So I'd like to invite Jerry Silverman, president of JFNA, to come to the podium. And Jerry and I are colleagues in a variety of initiatives, including the Jewish People's Policy Institute, and I know Jerry intimately. There's no one who provides more inspiration and more vision for so many good things in the United States than Jerry.
Good evening. We are delighted to join the Self-Help Community Services in congratulating Jane and Mark and the Wilf family. As a beneficiary agency of UJA Federation of New York, Self-Help is a pillar in the community and a national model for excellence in service delivery. Over the past 3 years, as part of our initiative with the federal government, the Jewish Federations of North America has proudly worked with Self-Help to enhance quality of life for Holocaust survivors. Not only has Self-Help enriched its own survivor community, but Self-Help has also shared its talents with other organizations across the country, leading webinars and training others in how to care for survivors with compassion and excellence. Mark, you chair our National Holocaust Survivor Initiative, and thanks to your family's leadership, organizations such as Self-Help and others across the country are able to carry out their important service to survivors. You make certain that our programs are designed to help Holocaust survivors who may have fallen through the cracks and who rely on Self-Help as their last living relative. You know very well how Holocaust survivors are resilient. And even while carrying the scars of the past, we are able to help them engage meaningfully with their communities. We have come a long way, but as the ambassador just stated, there is much more work to be done to help survivors. Through your example, you inspire others to join your efforts. It's truly an honor to witness your compassion firsthand. Thank you and Jane and the Wilf family for being our guiding light as we work to save lives. Mazel tov.
Just a photo and then I'll speak. Self-Help operates the oldest and largest program in North America providing comprehensive services to Holocaust survivors, and I'm proud to serve as the honorary chair of Self-Help. This past year, while as you've heard, they served 20,000 needy people in the New York City area, they serve as a lifeline, a true lifeline to 4,400 Holocaust survivors, providing them with the critical support they need to live independently and to live with dignity. Every year, the needs of survivors become greater and greater. In our planning for this year's gala, Stuart Kaplan and Lois Deutsch and I spent many conversations talking about who would be most deserving to receive Fran Eisenstadt's Legacy Award. And I can say, Jane and Mark, every single time we came back to you and your family. There are few families anywhere in the world who have done more to assist Holocaust survivors and preserve their legacies than the Wilf family. The son of survivors himself, Mark is an unwavering advocate for Holocaust survivors, not just in the United States, but worldwide. Professionally, he's an attorney and the partner in Garden Homes, and also the owner and president of the NFL's Minnesota Vikings. Mark, you came very close to the Super Bowl this year. As a long-suffering fan of the deficient Washington Redskins, I can assure you of at least one victory next year on your way to the Super Bowl. Jane also is a great leader. She serves on a number of boards, including Birthright Israel, which is a transformative program. Absolutely, like 350,000 kids have come, and it's created such a tremendous identification not only with Israel, but for sustaining their Jewish identity. She also serves on JFNA's National Women's Philanthropy Board and the Jewish Museum and Hillel International. Whether it's their unwavering support to Yad Vashem in Israel, which stands as a perpetual legacy to those we lost and those who survive, their work in enhancing the quality of the lives of elderly, just one example, and that is recently by providing hearing aids, or Mark's vital work chairing this new federal initiative. The Wilf family is always there when survivors need them, just like Self-Help, to serve as the last surviving relative to Holocaust survivors who have lost all of their family. The Federal Holocaust Survivor Initiative that Mark chairs, and which is administered by JFNA, and again, Jerry, thank you, and William Daroff, thank you, has provided Self-Help with funding to do this outreach, to reach new Holocaust survivors who did not need services. I mean, one of the ironies is that as the numbers decline, the needs go up, because those who survive longer have greater needs. So we're now finding a whole set of survivors who had not needed Self-Help's assistance, but now do so with great determination. Through this funding, Self-Help is now providing care to many new survivors who are alone and desperately need help. The funding from the organization that Mark is chairing also enables Self-Help to expand its comprehensive services to the neediest and growing population of survivors from the former Soviet Union. Self-Help now serves more than 1,800 survivors from the FSU. And finally, the funding will enable Holocaust survivors to participate in a new innovative program called Virtual Senior Center. This will help to reduce social isolation among those survivors who are homebound by frailty or illness, and you got a sense of this with some of the videos. I know that Fran, again, would be honored to be associated in her name with the award to the Wilf family and to Jane and Mark. I also want to recognize other members of the Wilf family who are here, Leonard and Beth. And we know, Leonard and Beth, that you also, along with all of your family, has been a remarkable bulwark for survivors. So it's my great privilege now to present to Jane and Mark the Fran Eisenstadt Legacy Award. And the award reads, the Fran Eisenstadt Legacy Award, Jane and Mark Wilf and the Wilf family, with great esteem and admiration for your lifelong dedication to providing comfort and dignity to Holocaust survivors and preserving their legacies. Self-Help Community Services, May 7, 2018. Not just Mazel Tov, but thank you, thank you, thank you.
Good evening. Jane and I are so honored and humbled to receive this prestigious award and to accept it on behalf of the entire Wilf family. With us tonight, Lenny and Beth, my brother Ziggy, my sister-in-law Audrey, and two of our own four children, Stephen and Daniel. Honored to receive this award named in memory of Fran Eisenstadt, such an active, dynamic leader in many nonprofit endeavors, including the defined Requiem concerts devoted to funding of programs for Holocaust survivors. And we're humbled to be presented this award by Ambassador Eisenstadt, whose career and dedication in public service to the remembrance of the Shoah and dignity of Holocaust survivors is legendary and one we all greatly admire and respect. I want to also recognize Board President Raymond Schrag and CEO Stuart Kaplan, who lead Self-Help so ably in the sacred and critical work of caring for thousands within the New York area, many of them Holocaust survivors in critical need. We also want to acknowledge and congratulate our co-honorees this evening, Self-Help's Chinese Advisory Council and Ernest Bial. Tonight, to be among all of you this evening, I feel among mishpacha, among family. You see, my parents and grandparents were all Holocaust survivors. My father from Yaroslav, Poland, who survived the war in a Siberian labor camp, along with his brother and parents. His only sister perished in Poland. My mother from the Lvov-Lemberg ghetto, her mother, my Babu Miriam, heroically escaped that ghetto before its liquidation in 1943 with the aid of Christian papers and worked on a Polish farm. On that farm, she hid my grandfather under the floorboards of a barn for nearly 2 years, never knowing when the Nazis would come or discover them. The Golden Medina of the United States that they could only dream about was far from these horrors. Yet after the war in 1950, Birmingham, Alabama's Jewish community sponsored my parents, and that began their American journey that led them eventually to this area and thankfully a vibrant life and success with a growing family. They were fortunate. My family is fortunate. But to truly be the Golden Medina, this fortunate and privileged society and those of us who benefit from it will ultimately be judged by how those most vulnerable are cared for. Self-help is the very embodiment of this care. Self-help helps over 20,000 elderly in the New York area with critical needs such as benefits assistance, home care and housekeeping, legal assistance, socialization events, and access to a virtual community for homebound seniors. You saw the virtual senior center before, specifically designed for Holocaust survivors, engaging socially isolated older adults, most of whom are homebound due to multiple chronic conditions. In addition, self-help staff, those that work within the agency's Holocaust Survivor Program, as well as those from other programs, benefited from specialized trainings, expanding their knowledge about the role of trauma in victims' lives. I have been privileged to co-chair Jewish Federation of North America's Holocaust Survivors Initiative, driven by our federation system. Since its inception, the initiative has raised, via federations and other donors, well over $50 million, much of it by UJ Federation in New York. And partners in this effort here tonight who I would like to recognize, UJ New York CEO Eric Goldstein, President Jeff Schoenfeld, the Claims Conference's President Julius Berman, Executive Vice President Greg Schneider, and other staff members, and JFNA's CEO Jerry Silverman, Senior Vice President William Daroff, and Max Kleiman. In addition, I'm particularly proud that in this great country, which has been so good to so many, the U.S. government has also stepped up. Under both Republican and Democratic administrations, the United States is in the midst of a 5-year, $12.5 million grant, which along with matching private donations will result in over $18 million in social services for survivors throughout the U.S. Over 15,000 survivors, caregivers, and professionals have been affected or benefited from this funding. Self-Help is the only agency to have earned a grant through JFNA's competitive review committee process for all 3 years of the program. And by the end of these grants, JFNA will have provided Self-Help well over $1.1 million. Your attendance and continued support for this incredible institution and their work is the ultimate tribute to the victim's memory and increasing the shiny light of the Golden Medina. that my parents could only dream about. The needs of the survivors grow more acute each day. The support is time limited, and now is the time. And continued education, like the Witness Theater program, is so vitally needed. Yes, to remember the Shoah is to remember in places such as Yad Vashem the 6 million souls that we lost. Yes, to remember the Shoah is to strengthen and grow the state of Israel. But also, to remember the Shoah is to take care of and to provide dignity to the survivors that need our help. We cannot stand by as over a third of the 100,000 survivors in the U.S. live at or near the poverty line. We will all be judged as an American society and a Jewish community by the way we treat the most vulnerable among us. Holocaust survivors, as we all know, are especially vulnerable and deserve to live their remaining years in dignity. Kol hakavod to Self-Help and to all of you for continuing your support of this incredible institution. Thank you again for this meaningful Fran Eisenstadt Award. I'm Yisrael Chai. Thank you.
I'd like to invite the entire Wilf family to come up on stage, please. I'm setting up now. Please move in this direction.
Okay. Congratulations to all of our honorees this evening. What a wonderful night. I encourage all of you to continue to be involved with self-help. If you were moved by what we've heard and learned tonight, please make a contribution. You know, often when I emcee an event, sometimes people just say, oh, you know, they have Lori Stokes and she's going to do the evening, and not necessarily understand why I do what I do for particular organizations. I just want you to know the type of household that I grew up in. My father was Congressman Louis Stokes. My uncle was Carl Stokes. And my father represented one of the largest Jewish populations, Cleveland, Ohio. And he took great pride in that. He introduced legislation and passed legislation to protect Soviet Jews. I grew up in a household where it was mandated that we understood everybody's plight and that we understood that we are all in this together. And so when I say I'm honored to be here tonight, not just because of my dear friend Deborah Cheriton and the work that Self-Help does, because it's in my heart as well. And so thank you for allowing me to be here. Have a great night.